Chapter 11, Lost in a Book. Belle released the cherry tree. She looked around wildly. How did this happen? She stammered. Stunned, she touched her dress to make sure it was real. The silk rustled under her hands. She looked at her feet. Her leather boots had been replaced by delicate satin slippers. Her hands went to her hair. It was styled high up on her head. They fluttered to her neck. A cluster of jewels rested against her collarbones. Sapphires, she said, looking down at them. I'm wearing sapphires. No one in Villeneuve owned one sapphire. Never mind the flawless dozen set in the exquisite necklace. The sudden transformation was dazzling. Oh, it was dizzying. The sudden transformation was dizzying. Belle squeezed her eyes shut and counted to 10, certain that when she opened them, she would be wearing her old blue dress again. But no. Still unable to believe what had happened, Belle stepped out from under the tree into the light emanating from the chateau, the better to see herself. She didn't realize it, but she was now standing so close to the staircase that she could have reached out and touched one of the stone lions lying at its base. A group of guests, high-spirited and laughing, walked past her. One of them, a young woman, looked her up and down. What a gorgeous gown, she said, looking at her arm. Looking at her arm through Belle's. Do tell me the name of your dressmaker, she begged, pulling Belle up the stairs and into the foyer. My gown? This one? Belle stuttered, wondering how she would answer her. Luckily, she didn't have to. A young man came up to them and whispered something in the woman's ear. She burst into laughter and swatted him with her fan, releasing Belle, then seemed to forget all about her as the young man led her away. The opulent entryway was thronged with people. Music rose over their laughter. Candles flickered crazily. The scent of roses was heady. Arched doorways led off the foyer in 3 different directions. Another sweeping staircase led to the upper levels. Belle started to panic. She didn't know which way to go or what to do. Mademoiselle, may I? Said a voice. Belle turned to her right and looked into a pair of amused gray eyes. They belonged to a young man, perhaps only a year or 2 older than she was. He was wearing a pale green frock coat. His thick dark hair was pulled back and tied with a black ribbon, and half a smile played about his lips. It would be my sincere pleasure to escort you, he said. Escort me where? Belle asked, dazed. Why, to meet the Countess. But where am I? At the Countess's summer ball, at her estate, just outside of Paris. Paris, Belle said, not daring to believe it. I'm in a chateau on the edge of Paris. The young man bent his head to hers. Of course. Isn't that what a good story does? It pulls you in and never lets you go. He offered Belle his arm. The Comtesse des Terres des Mortis wishes to meet you, he said. and the Countess is not one to be kept waiting." Belle was taken aback by the Countess's title. "Terres des Morts," she echoed. "Land of the dead. I'm not sure I wish to meet her." The young man laughed. "It's a horrible title, I agree. It was given to an ancestor of the Countess's, after he'd won a particularly bloody battle. It isn't much fiercer than she is, I promise you." Belle hesitated. "What is this place?" she asked. "A bit of magic, like all good books," the man replied. "An escape. A place where you can leave cares and worries behind," he smiled. "At least for a chapter or two." He offered her his arm. Belle bit her lip. She cast a glance behind her. It wasn't too late to leave. It wasn't too late to run out of the chateau, down the drive, through the portal, and back to the Beast's castle. But there she could only read stories. Here, it seemed, she could live one. But there she... I must return to the Countess," the young man said, lowering his arm. "Turn Nevermore's pages, if you wish, or close its cover. The choice is yours." He bowed, then turned to leave. "Wait!" Belle cried. He turned back to her, a questioning look on his face. Belle looked into his beautiful eyes. They sparkled with mystery and a hint of mischief. Paris! A grand mansion, a mysterious countess, an elegant escort, she thought. The story was off to a tantalizing start. "Shall we?" the young man asked. Belle took a deep breath. "Yes," she replied, "we shall." And that is the end of chapter 11 of Lost in a Book. If you like, we can continue on to chapter 12. Let's do it. Let's go to chapter 12 now. Chapter 12, Lost in a Book. "My name is Henry, by the way," the young man said. He squared her through the foyer and down a hallway filled with statues and paintings. "Just Henry?" Belle inquired. "You require my full title?" he asked with a roguish smile. "Very well, then, Henry. Ducties, choosies, passies, at your service." Belle blinked. It was not every day she attended a ball on the outskirts of Paris on the arm of a duke. Henry raised an eyebrow. Henry raised an eyebrow at her silence. "I'm very sorry I have disappointed you. You were hoping for a prince?" Belle recovered her voice. "I was not," she protested. "You were, admit it. He would be dashing, handsome, and rich, carrying a glass slipper, of course, and ready to marry you after a single dance." Belle saw that he was teasing her. "You are completely ridiculous," she said. Henry grinned, now swept his hand in an arc in front of them. "Picture it," he said. "You'd live in a sumptuous palace where you'd be waited on hand and foot by 100 servants. You'd eat cake for breakfast and strudel for dinner, and you'd never get out of bed. You'd have monkeys, parrots, and hedgehogs." "This is starting to sound tempting," said Belle, playing along. "I do love hedgehogs." "You'd have beautiful little princes and princesses, 20 of them." Belle's eyebrows shot up. "Is that all? Not enough? 30 then. You and your prince would lead marvelous lives, playing checkers, knitting socks, bestowing largesse on the peasants, ruling the world, all from our bed." "You'd have to put wheels on it, of course." The image of a prince and princess ruling from a rolling bed was so absurd. Belle burst out laughing. "You'd live happily ever after, on nothing but love and parties." Isn't that how these stories go? These stories, yes, not mine, Belle said. No Prince Charming for you, then? Henry asked. No handsome knight to swoop in on a white horse and save you. I am not surprised. I hear you're the type of girl who does the saving herself. You save your father from life in a prison cell at the hands of a beast? Belle stopped short. How do you know that? She asked, suddenly uncomfortable. Henry was witty and fun, but he was still a stranger. Henry didn't answer. They'd come to a pair of open doors. Beyond them was a magnificent ballroom. An orchestra was playing. Guests were dancing a graceful minuet. Are you ready, Belle? He asked. You know my name, too? Belle asked, apprehensively. The Countess told me about you. She's very interested in you. She is? Why? How does she know me? But Henry's gaze was directed toward the ballroom. Come, he said, it's time. All right, everybody, that is all for chapter 12, chapter 11 and 12. Leave any likes and feel free to subscribe, and have a good rest of your day. This is Charlotte, like Charlotte's Web. Stay tuned for more Lost in a Book. Bye!